This podcast is brought to you by our Anime Addicts community. We love you so much. And if you want to love us back, you can go to aapodcast.com/join or patreon.com. Give us a couple bones. What do you get for your bones? You only have so many. You get Hobby Addicts. You get hentai episodes. You get after parties. You get our love. 8 exclusive episodes plus love per month equals, well, you'll just never run out of the sound of my voice. So if you want to help out the show, get the content, aapodcast.com/join our Patreon. Now shut up because I know I'm bothering you. And now time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello and welcome to the 723rd episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. My name is Caroline, hailing from New York, where it is just central to all of these fantastic happenings like earthquakes and eclipses.
The end of the world.
And I am all ready to go. Got my shades on, cannot see a thing except the sun. I am not going blind today, except maybe with the light of Mitsugi's PlayStation 2 sign.
That's right.
Perhaps I might. That's why I had these on.
What is it?
What's that?
Oh, yeah. A Strawberry Dreams monster. And see, the real reason why Caroline is wearing that the sunglasses is because, well, the shine of my bald head blinds all. And I did shave it this morning, just for you.
That's another reason to have these on. So yes, thank you for joining us today, Mitsugi. We are all back together, the trio, including Mason. Hey, Mason.
Hello, I'm here.
I'm sorry I stole your joke. He was going to make a joke about the PlayStation thing, and I just...
Too sharp.
Yeah, radiant across the Chrome Dome. But no, it was true, and you're very much in keeping, in line. You are the viewer's eyes on this podcast episode. A very audio-based experience, because it's just like, I got this thing, and you're like, what's that? I can't see. And the viewers are like, I can sympathize.
Chrome
Except for
Dome.
those who are watching on Twitch, where they can see everything in stunning pseudo HD.
I do need to take these off because you legit can't see anything in these.
Oh, boo.
But I'm so
Put 'em back
excited.
on.
I'm not in the path of totality, but it'll be 93% coverage.
This
which
is
not nothing to sneeze at.
It's the lamest fucking event ever. No one's in the path of totality. I looked at the map. It's like, what?
Dallas, Texas, nobody's in the path.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
Syracuse,
Okay,
Buffalo.
two places. Okay, no one cares about Buffalo.
It goes across the whole country, Mitz.
What's this little strip?
And also, everybody's going to those
it's this
places.
little strip.
Everybody
it's like as
is.
wide as my penis, just across the country. It's like, come on, give me a
You're
fucking
so lame,
break.
Mitz. You're
I
so
fucking
lame.
am lame. Yeah, I'm lame. So Pancake's having wrist surgery during the eclipse's peak, and there's jokes about whether or not the end of the world will coincide with, her surgery. So while the eclipse is happening, somebody will be plunging a scalpel into Pancake's wrist, but she'll be okay. Hey guys, if you want to support the podcast, again, you can watch us live, twitch.tv/AAA podcast, live Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, baby. We're on Twitter, we're on TikTok, we're on Facebook. You got to go help Kiten out. He likes to do his memes. He's memifying the world through our channels. But if you want to be really in the action, the Discord channel, AAAdiscord.com is where it's at, because honestly, and you'll find out later, there's even more that you can do on there than ever. And we'll get there in a second. But first, Caroline's going to let you know what we're doing on this episode.
Yes, I know I called you lame before, but what's even lamer? My internet connection, because I dropped. Let's hope that's not happening again. Okay, we are going to be discussing what we have been watching. Always fun to get that little grab bag of anime that we have been watching outside the podcast. We are also going to be reviewing MF Ghost. So, did you already get to those other announcements, Mitsugi, while I dropped out?
No, so I do have some extra announcements I want to give. So Pancake and I recorded part 1 of our Japan trip. It's 70 minutes long, and it's going to release with this podcast episode. So as you're listening to this, it's already out. Go pick that up. Should be cool for you. And as I mentioned in the Discord, if you would like the itinerary, see, Pancake thought I should sell the itinerary to you. It did spend a lot of time on it, probably, I don't know, 10 hours or something. But I'm just so nice. I'm just going to give it to you. So if you're planning a trip to Japan, if you don't know what to do, where to go, how to get there, you can DM me on the Discord. I will send you the itinerary from the trip. That'll help you get some ideas about things you might want to do, what the general cost might be, etc. So also, real quick, if you want to play Does Mitsugi's Mom Know, DM Mason on the Discord, because I would like to do more of these, and I do have some questions that we haven't used yet, so I just keep forgetting that we have them. So DM Mason for Does Mitsugi's Mom Know? You can play the game and maybe win a prize. And also, big news, I realized that somehow, some way, none of us picked the new Spice and Wolf anime that came out. It's out. I think
Yeah.
I'm like, how the fuck did this happen?
Well,
So
I don't like Spice and Wolf, and you said you filtered out all the romance and
There you
comedy
go.
shows.
So
And
I put
I've
it
never
down.
seen the original, and from what I've heard, I wouldn't like it. So
Well, I have replaced the new Gate with the new Spice and Wolf, and there is about a 97% chance I will pass it, because it's also currently the highest rated show of the season. So, although
Yeah, I've heard good things.
So those are the announcements. So everyone's probably writing their hate mail like, where the fuck is Spice and Wolf? How do you pick 20 shows and don't pick Spice and Wolf? Suck it. I fixed it.
valid, considering.
So
Problem solved.
problem
After
solved.
problem created.
Little bitches. All right. Are you anything else, guys and girls?
Nope.
Let's
Nope.
hit it.
おー、大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
Guinness Book of World Records names Jujutsu Kaisen most in-demand animated TV show, as if anybody really gives a fuck. So the previous most in-demand show was Attack on Titan, which has held the record since 2020, but now no longer because Jujutsu Kaisen has come in with a global demand rating, whatever the fuck that means, of a 71, which is apparently a lot. That's calculated based on billions of captured data points, such as videos consumed, social media engagement. How the fuck does Guinness Book make money? I mean, like, you're going to have enough analysts to capture billions of data points, such as video consumption and social media engagement. Like, you'd have to have a staff for that. But, like, what do you sell? Like, what do you do?
The Book of World Records.
No one buys that shit.
You've never been to a Scholastic book fair?
No one
Kids
fucking
love
buys
that
that.
shit.
Anyway, so One Piece and also Attack on Titan were the previous. I'm gonna have to look this shit up after I'm done talking. Were the previous top spots. One Piece, of course, they were also at the top. Of course, I mean it's kind of common sense. I'm sure we could probably name most of the top shows on the list. I'm sure Dragon Ball's still in there too, and probably Naruto. One Piece had Netflix's live action come out, which helped. They said Attack on Titan had its final season. The special came out last year, so that helped. But then they said that the Jujutsu Kaisen 2 cores carried it throughout 2023. So that was the big deal. I guess the Jujutsu Kaisen did kind of air for like half the year. So they said that it had 128 times the demand of the average show, which is pretty wild. And they said that, congratulations, Gen Z. Are either of you Gen Z?
I
don't
am
think so.
kind of technically, but I'm kind of on the line of millennial as well. So, and what's the word?
I don't know.
When you
bird.
identify more with millennials than I do with Gen Z. That's
The
it.
bird's the word. They said that JJK had a higher percentage of Gen Z people. 71% of the viewers were Gen Z, I guess, compared to lower percentages for the other shows. So Gen Z loving Jujutsu Kaisen, apparently the hottest shit on the market right now, as if we didn't already know. So, you know, I'm not that shocked. What do you got, Caroline? While I look up how Guinness Book makes money.
Well, side note, I was just reminded by somebody in the Twitch chat, people might realize that Mount Box is gone.
Oh my god.
It disappeared with the earthquake. You know, things change geographically when earthquakes happen.
Massive.
No, but in the couple weeks that I I managed to actually go through and throw away some of these boxes and give some to my sister who was moving. So it has been resolved. I now have a weird blank space where all my crap goes. That's my news. No, okay. So whenever we get a news headline that somebody in the anime and manga industry has been arrested, you just kind of you just kind of hope it's not something really bad, because it happens way too frequently that our beloved creators do something just unforgivable. That is not the case, but a manga creator was indicted of suspicion of tax evasion. That would
Yay, tax fraud!
Yes,
Yay!
yes. I am so glad it's tax evasion and not something else. It is the Yep. It is the Apothecary Diaries manga creator, Neko Karage. Now, they are not the original creator of Apothecary Diaries because it's a light manga, but they are the creator of the manga adaptation. They were indicted by the Fukuoka Regional Taxation Bureau on February 29th on suspicion of not declaring approximately 260 million yen, about 1.7 million US dollars in income, and evading about 47 million yen, about $310,000 in taxes from 2019 to 2021.
Naughty,
that's a lot
naughty.
Of money. Now, the mangaka, whose real name is Erika Ikeda, they responded to the allegations on Twitter, X, whatever, claiming that they neglected their tax returns due to ignorance, not
doesn't
intentionally.
Matter. It don't matter.
Sure, okay. They added that they paid the taxes and fees in 2022 as a result of not declaring the income after receiving instructions from the tax office.
How dumb can you fucking be?
Story.
That's bullshit.
Likely story.
I'm calling bullshit right now. If you're a manga, if you're a business owner, and yes, manga creators are business owners. I'm sure they have LLCs and all sorts of shit set up. You fucking damn well know. You know all sorts of paperwork. You know the red tape. You know the paperwork. You probably have employees, and they pay taxes. So you are so full of bullshit that will never hold up in court. And ultimately, no one cares because I got to pay taxes. Pay your fucking taxes.
I mean, I kind of get it if she's been evading taxes since day one. If she just has always been messing up, okay, like, that's no excuse, but at least that is why you messed up. If you just recently started messing up, when you just recently started making lots of money, that's when you're like, okay, come on.
Yeah, and you got to do your due diligence. When it's that much money, you probably should be getting some consultation with this.
For sure they've got like an accountant or something, I would think, but maybe not.
I don't know, but at least it's not pedophilia.
Yay, tax fraud!
You know what? Fuck it.
Not the children.
Oh, not the children. It's never been more applicable than right then and there. So, yep.
Yeah, for real.
All right.
I didn't have really much of big news this week, except for now that we're in April, a lot of changing hands of ownership of streaming properties gets exchanged because it's new quarter.
Can we rate
Netflix
these?
Yeah, we can.
Segment out of 10.
Netflix has brought back and added a bunch of new shows. So I'm not a Netflix shill or anything, but I would say it's one of the more dependable streaming services around. And if you haven't checked it out, they got some new shows on the docket. So I think the headliner, the first big one they brought in, is GTO, Great Teacher Onizuka. is back on Netflix. All 51 episodes of the OG season.
This is a great list. I mean, these are someone at
pretty good.
Netflix knows their shit. Like, this is a strong fucking list of anime. So, and they did cover different time periods. I mean, GTO is early 2000s. So, credit to them going back 20 years. GTO is so good. People, Onizuka is a fucking legend. Like, you must watch at least the first, I would say, half season of GTO. It's definitely worth it.
Even if
I'm pumped for that.
you don't love that style, with how much Mitz loves it. If you
Oh my
listen
God.
to this podcast, you know he's going to bring it up again, and you want to get all the references. Just give it a shot. Do it for Mitz.
I'm a 9 on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I should have looked up where these were at before April, but it's on Netflix now, so there
Yeah.
you go.
Most of
Next
them are
up,
on Crunchyroll.
yeah, it's on Crunchy. And I think this next one is still on Crunchyroll, but Haikyuu, at least, I think some movies, season 1 at least, like a lot, I didn't check all of it, but Haikyuu is back on Netflix, so hype for that. Love me some Haikyuu.
Mm-hmm. Haikyuu is, I've only seen season 1 of Haikyuu, but it was quite good. So,
Well, I think someone might be talking about it later, so
oh shit.
we'll save our hype on that, but
Spoilers.
Haikyuu is phenomenal.
I would give that a 7 on my excitement radar. Meow, meow.
Okay. Black Clover. I can't speak to that very much, but
Just
it's
loud
there.
fucking people.
Just
But
loud
we
silence.
memed enough about Black Clover. Apparently, it has a pretty strong fan base after it kind of gets its roll going. It might be pretty good for the new anime fans, I would say. So, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
We
I
also
mean,
have. Sorry, go ahead.
people just made fun of Black Clover because it's so fucking loud.
Honestly, it's a great meme. I will always make fun of Black Clover with
Yeah.
the acknowledgement that it's probably better than it used to be.
Mason, what
We
else?
also have Mob Psycho 100 coming later this month. I don't know if it's all 3 seasons, but at least it's coming. We have the film Suzume.
Mm-hmm. I'm not excited for Black Clover. I give that a 2. Mob Psycho, I've seen that already, but that's pretty good. I give that like a 6. Suzume, I haven't seen that. Might watch that. I give that a 6.
It's kind of surprising they got Suzume and just Suzume. I feel like they would get,
The whole
more
batch of Shinkai stuff.
Yeah. So it's surprising they actually just got one to me anyway.
Maybe he expensive.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
I always feel like there's like a bundling deal with this kind of stuff. Like if you get one creator's films, then there's probably a deal to get all of them or a portion of them. Because I had kind of just assumed that it would be it would be exclusive to Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think they might have had Your Name at one point, but it's not on there anymore.
You might be right. I can't
And
remember.
the last one I wanted to bring up, not surprising given the live action, but One Piece film Red is there. So there you go. Bunch of stuff more is coming to Netflix. So
Is the One
there
Piece
you go.
anime
You
on
have plenty
Netflix?
to watch.
I can't remember.
Is OG One Piece on Netflix?
I don't know. That's what I was asking.
Probably. Some of it at least.
Well, now at least.
No, let's look it up. Let's
So-
use the interwebber nets.
So I recently realized that I'm way behind Mason on like anime watching, but I realized recently that I am at 795 shows. How crazy would the Discord go if my 800th show was One Piece film Red?
They would.
Dangle that carrot. Dangle that carrot. Figure it out. Figure it out.
So it looks like Netflix has a bunch of One Piece, at least in, America, the West, in some, obviously some listeners are not from the same broadcasting area we are and might not have a VPN, but yeah, Netflix has a bunch of One Piece. So you could start your voyage, Mitz. You could see those stringy boys and girls bounce around the seas.
Yep. It
Smoking
could happen.
lollipops. All right, I think we
That's
should
about all
move
we had.
on to
Yeah.
our main topic. What have we been watching?
Tell me all about it.
We don't have a jingle for that.
Nope, not yet. I should have a jingle by now, but I don't because I'm lazy. So, who wants to start? It's not going to be me.
We're getting a little static on your end,
Yeah, I was
Mitz,
about
when
to
you're
say.
talking, a little squeaky squealing. But I think Caroline should go first because she
All
has
right.
the most number of shows on the docket.
Sure, but I could always whittle down because some of these I don't have as much to talk about as others. First off on my list, most recently, I finished Hibike Euphonium Season 1. Of course,
Well,
thank you
I guess
to
it's not a
the Anime
foghorn. It's like a
Club.
tuba. Hwah, hwah, hwah.
That sounds more disappointing than
It's
exciting.
It
some weird
does.
like in between instrument that nobody plays. How they even
Yeah,
come?
it's
How the
true.
fuck did they even come up with this
It's a
shit?
little tuba.
It's so cute.
It's so small.
But yeah, we watched Sound Euphonium season 1 in Anime Club as part of like a theme of sequel or shows that are getting sequels this season. And I've never seen Hibike Euphonium before, but I've heard of it, and I did see Liz and the Bluebird, and I was actually kind of disappointed by Liz and the Bluebird. I can appreciate its production values, but I really did not care for the characters, and it was just so quiet, and yeah, I wasn't really a fan. But I was pleasantly surprised by Hibike Euphonium, the show that it's sprung from, and it's quite different from the movie. And it was great. As a prior band kid, but more of a chorus kid, but I was in band for a
At
couple of
band camp.
years. Yeah, I never gone to band camp though. I
Oh,
was in band for quite a few years, and it really nails the whole atmosphere of being in band, and of course, looking very pretty as a KyoAni show. And I'm also a little like as much as I love the character designs, I also found it very funny just how bow-legged every character is in that show. It's cute, but I'm really concerned about their knees. Besides how it looks
I
though.
never noticed that.
Yeah,
I mean, I
they're
mean, I'm
all
sure
like
you're right. I'm sure you're right. But
curved. Anyway, the sound of the show is amazing. Just the instruments and the voice acting, everything, it just sounds so good and crisp, and yeah, it's just really good and great. I still have to watch season 2, and then I heard that there are movie sequels before you get into season 3
Yeah.
that's coming out this season, and apparently
oh
the movie
shit.
sequel is just not as good as the seasons. So I'm not sure what that means for season 3. And I'm also notorious for saying, "Oh, I'm going to continue this," and then not continue it in the near future. I do go back to things. It just takes me a while. I will I'm making a plan to watch season 2, but I'm not saying when that will be.
Well, at least you have
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
plan.
I like season one. Season two was fine. I watched all the movies. I will probably watch season three, but it's been so long I don't remember anything. I just I'll relearn all the characters and their relationships and their drama along the way. I can't be asked to rewatch stuff just for a season. I'm sure it'll be fine. KyoAni stuff always looks and feels so good, so I'll
Hmm.
enjoy it for that. And we'll see. I'll let you know how season three goes.
What are your thoughts on Euphonium, Mitz?
Um, I recall that it was a beautifully made anime. But again, not really super my speed because it's just like it's a slow burn, slice of life school drama. So I mean, I don't know if you look at my rating on it, it's probably like a 3.5 or something. It was fine. I would say like I didn't hate it. I didn't but I'm not. I'm KyoAni does have anime that I really like, but it also has a lot of anime where I'm just like, whatever, to be honest with you. So, anyway,
I can see that. So who wants to go next?
I think Mason, because he's got, I'm sure, more than I've got.
Yeah. Let's start off with the disappointing ones.
Oh, man. Uh-oh.
First up on my list is the 4 years in the making follow-up to the well-beloved 2020 Great Pretender ONA. The Great Pretender Razbliuto. It's like an hour and a half movie that kind of takes place a little bit after the main series, following Dorothy's finale culmination thing. And I wasn't the biggest fan of Great Pretender. I liked the style and sense to it. The colors were so bombastic and fresh and invigorating, but the characters and the plots just they weren't my jam. But I see why people liked it. And I was going into this follow-up just expecting more of the same, and I was really disappointed and let down by how it just seemed to not capture any of the original's charm in the characters, in the sense of style it had. It was kind of a if you were on the fence of Great Pretender, I probably would not recommend this, only for diehard fans who want to see how things finish up. There's very few callbacks to the original. It's almost a completely new cast and divorced from the original. So you could watch it without seeing the original, but I don't know why you would. I don't know. I guess I don't know who this little blurb is for, because fans have probably already seen it and people who haven't probably already forgot about it. But yeah, it was very underwhelming for a lot of reasons, and not worth the 90 minutes. So I don't know, because I think Mitz, you liked the first season.
I barely remember it, to be honest. I remember an airplane chase scene of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, you don't have to remember it because everyone's new in this one. It's
perfect. Fuck.
One thing.
Sign me up.
I mean, it looks cool at times. It has a couple funny moments, but really, it's not the same, and big sad.
Remember, it looked really good and had some good stylization to its coloring.
Yeah.
So
very pastel and cool effects, and I mean, Wit knows what they're doing. I love the studio, but anyway, what do you got, Mitz?
Well, so big thanks to. See, I don't know if people want to have their names called out on the Discord or not, from the Discord or not on the podcast. So I'm just going to use an abbreviation. So big thanks to WTP. Some of you guys are coming through big for me. And there are some people that are very excited that I've been watching a lot of Gundam shows, which I think is very cute. So I was actually sent 2 more Gundam model kits, which I haven't done yet, but I got this Gundam aerial rebuild, which is pretty cool looking. Yeah, let's get in it. Agare Gandamu Kibi wo And I got this one right here. So I got this, what is this? Wing Gundam Zero EW. So this is pretty cool. So
there's some good looking kits.
So I have a small army of Gundams now. So watch out, people. So and I did go to the Gundam in Yokohama before they took it down when I was in Japan. So we'll talk about that. It was pretty cool. It actually like it kneels down now and stuff. It can actually like move a little bit. So it's pretty neat. But in exchange for, well, it was more of an offer I made afterwards, but it was just by the sheer kindness of the listeners that I had stuff sent to me. But ultimately, I said I was going to watch Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket on the way to Japan, which I did. So I'm going to talk about Gundam 0080 War in the Pocket, and I also watched Gundam 8th MS Team, which I'm going to talk about as well, but first War in the Pocket. So War in the Pocket, I was always told, is one of the best Gundam properties that have come out. It's very much takes a snapshot of something that's happening on a neutral colony while the war between Zeon and the Earth Federation are happening. Listen to me, using all the lingo. So this takes place featuring a kid named Alfred and a Zeon pilot named Bernard. And essentially, it's really a good OVA, and I won't talk about it for 100 years here, but highly recommend this because unlike the prior show, which I watched, which was the 3-movie compilation of the original series, this shows the war from a neutral colony from a child's perspective. So you have all these kids, and they're in school, and they're all talking about mobile suits, and they have like, ooh, my brother got me this Xeon fighter badge, and they're all, being little kids about it. So there's a lot of little kid stuff happening, You know, a mobile suit crashes on their colony, and of course the kid Alfred goes and finds it in the middle of the night and discovers it, and that's how he meets this guy Bernard. And it's very much like about Xeon believes that the Earth Federation is manufacturing Gundams in this neutral colony, which would be a breach of a treaty, getting this neutral colony involved. So there's a lot of like them trying to figure out if that's happening or not, and when they're not able to, well, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but it's just really nice to see a microcosm. It's not really about like the Gundams fighting or the mech. There's no mech battles, mobile suits in the sky or whatever. There is a little bit of that, but mostly it's just about the impact that war has on the human civilians, and you get to see it from a different perspective that isn't just a bunch of shit exploding all the time. So, and it's very human. It's only 6 episodes long. This thing did come out in 1989, but it looks great. And the first thing I thought when I started watching this on the plane, and I was eating my like dinner or whatever on the way to Japan, I showed Pancake, and we both agreed, anime from this time period looks so good. Like it's just, I don't know, it's almost like going back to the roots of the medium. Seeing everything hand-drawn, the styles are different. It's just a totally different way to like view anime, and I really recommend people go back. Maybe you won't want to watch this one because it's Gundam, and unless you're like trying to learn about Gundam, you may not care. But the stuff from like the late 80s, it just looks different. It just hits different, and even down to like the theme song is just so old school. I don't know. It's just like this like lady singing. I mean, it's just very cool. And this was better than the 3-movie compilation. So I think it's, I don't want to blaspheme. I'm not sure if that's like Gundam blaspheme, but I would say this was a little better. So,
there you go.
Short, but the OVAs are usually better. So, check it out if you want to see it. It is from a kid's perspective, but it's also very mature because there's like really horrible shit happening like around this kid, and he's being devastated by it the entire time. So, War in the Pocket was good shit.
I'm far from a Gundam expert, but whenever they've had a shorter runtime, a limited number of episodes, it kind of is driving towards a singular, through line. I've enjoyed my Gundam experience more.
So, have you seen this one?
So, War in the Pocket? Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think it'd be worth watching, honestly. We can watch it in only 2 hours, so it's like a movie. So I would check it out if you're interested. All right. Who's next, Caroline?
Okay, so going back to what my co-host alluded to earlier in the show, I finally watched Haikyuu.
Oh.
I have not finished the first season, though. I watched 15 episodes of the 25-episode first season. And yeah, it's been pretty good. I am going to continue watching it and finish up eventually. Not sure when. And yeah, I have not gotten to the point where I see how it got so big. It's still kind of, just fine. Like it has its good moments, of course, but like from the perspective of it being one of the biggest sports shows in anime, I have not gotten to that point yet. But at the very least, the characters have been great, and I can see
who's best boy.
Nishinoya is pretty good.
Okay.
I like him. A short king.
Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I feel like I've only scratched the surface with
Yep.
the boys in this show. I'm sure there are more to come. So, yeah.
I just realized that I haven't reviewed Haikyuu yet on Mouse. Now I'm at 796.
Oh my goodness.
Keep
We're
going,
rocketing
people.
up to 800.
We're fucking creeping.
Oh, this is his plan. He's going to be like, oh, I guess I'll do One Piece for my 800th and realize that he accidentally already passed it. He's like, well, I guess I'm not going to do One
That's
Piece
right.
now. I missed the chance. I'm
Have
on
you
you.
seen the second season of Haikyuu, Mitz?
I have not.
Okay. I was just making sure that wasn't
Trying to
another
get them all that.
But by all accounts, I should, because I'm so fed up with sports anime lately being bad, and I know that Haikyuu is not bad, so I really should just go watch it. But nowadays it's tough to keep up with the podcast, and with these 2 core anime like Free A right next week is going to be rough. So
Oh man,
finding the time is going to be really hard, honestly. It's going to be
I was
so hard.
practically begging you to start early because I know
Well,
you are going to not like it, even if you did, but at least it would lessen the blow.
I'm about 20% of the way through it, and all I can say is I have a drop for this. There you go. It's just, I don't know. I'm really hoping it picks up. I need it to be a little quicker. I don't know, but if it's
I will say I did feel it pick up around like episode 7 or something.
Oh, well, that's good news. Yeah, if they're just chasing squirrels through the woods and like putting flowers on statues the whole fucking show, it's gonna be murderous for me. I'm gonna literally just give up at some point.
I
probably.
said it picks up. What I really meant was it goes into a bit more of an exciting arc, but then it kind of goes back into its usual.
Anyway, yeah. Well, Pancake wants to watch it,
quo.
so we're gonna try to do like 3 episodes a night, and we'll get there.
So, hopefully, it's not that bad.
No, it'll be fine. Mason, I believe it's your turn.
It is. We're gonna ride the currents on this. We're gonna do a bad sequel and then a good sequel, and a bad sequel and a good sequel. And since you brought up Haikyuu, which is a fantastic sports anime, I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons of that. I watched the first Slam Dunk movie.
Oh, no way.
Because it's coming out on DVD soon.
Where'd you watch it?
You can find it on the interwebs. And I was waiting until something got announced before I wanted to talk about it. But I was going to wait for an Unexplored Pictures, but Mitz. I am not the biggest fan.
Oh, it's so good, isn't it?
Original Slam Dunk. It's pretty good, but it's 101 episodes. I'm not the biggest basketball fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw these trailers for this movie. I don't know why they needed to make this movie. The CG in the trailers looked a little concerning. It just seemed kind of whatever. So
yeah.
I was skeptical.
Oh.
It's so good.
Oh,
this movie, it's phenomenal.
Amazing.
The CG works so well. It's so smooth. This is the most realistic sports you will get in an anime, maybe ever. They really went all in with motion capturing, just really referencing. You feel like you're on the court with these folks. Every move. It's a lot. If you listen, this movie is 2 hours long, and a good chunk of that is just them playing basketball. And if that doesn't excite you, the movie probably isn't. But it does such a phenomenal job of bringing all these characters, their past, even if you've never seen the original, it gives them their time to shine, gives them moves, and it's just so well done. I'm
oh my god
blown away that it shattered expectations. The first Slam Dunk, chef's kiss.
Oh my god, I'm so
I
excited.
can't recommend it enough. I'm hopefully not overselling it to you. Yes, there is CG, but it works. It's so unique, and it's really not about Hanamichi. It's not about, the protagonist that we've seen in the past. It feels fresh. It feels new. It feels revitalized, and that's why it's called the first Slam Dunk. It's both a prequel and a sequel. It's both for new fans and for diehards. It's for anime fans. It's for manga fans. It's for everyone. And if you get a chance, don't miss it again. Watch the first Slam Dunk. It's so good. I really enjoyed it.
So I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you if this is like if we're going to get to have like the entire, like the Yankee boys beating each other up and all that, or if it like jumps right in. So do they go right back to the beginning?
So no. So essentially, without spoiling anything, the way this works is the game that they are playing is the first game of the Inter-High tournament that they left off on at the end of the anime. So they are playing basketball in the future compared to the original anime. And they are showing flashbacks of Ryota, the really short speedster guard guy with the earring. And essentially his backstory is flashbacks that kind of intercut sections of the show. And pretty much everyone else from Hanamichi, Rukawa, Gorilla, those are like not they're just teammates, and you see their interactions and you get their personalities from how they bounce off each other, but it completely we don't see any of that backstory. So we just get it's like a character study of Ryota and his family and what basketball means to him, as well as the team and how they bond and how they bounce off each other and how they bounce the basketball. And it's so exemplarily done. I mean, a big part of that I think is because Inoue himself, the creator, just was involved. He was a director and he just loves basketball, and that adoration shines through front and center. So this is a sports anime through and through. And yeah, you get some of the Yankee boys punching each other, so you'll get your fill of that. But
That's
it's
good to
good.
hear.
It's good. So check it out, folks.
Wow. All right, great. Well, I also watched, as I said, the Gundam 8th MS team, and this was also good. So Gundam's doing pretty good for me so far. I have I have been told that it won't last. So and I have seen a lot of the newer Gundam shows. Now I have seen probably 8 or 9 Gundam shows at this point, because I've seen most of the new stuff. But eight in the year 0079 Universal Century, there Earth Federation is doing an operation called Odessa, which is an assault to retake a major city, from Zeon. And this is very much like an anime that plays out like Romeo and Juliet, kind of. So it's not a particularly unique story. And by the way, this is jumping forward now to 1996. So I'm getting recommendations from Frigimon Fanatic in the order in which the stories are told chronologically. So I want to have I want to watch the Gundam shows not in the order in which they come out, but in the order in which the stories actually unfold. So I'm still in the first 2 years of this war. And so there is a main character named Shiro Amada, and also there's Aina Sahalin, they're both pilots on opposite sides of the war. One's Zeon, one is, Earth Federation. Right at the beginning of the movie, there's a distress signal that is coming from, I guess, an unknown ship or whatever. And Shiro Amada goes out and rescues this person, not knowing that it's Zeon. So he's rescuing the enemy, but because they're man and woman, and she's beautiful and he's, I assume, beautiful too, they kind of, I guess, fall in love during that event, that one day they spent together or whatever. So the major theme of this anime is war sucks. If I had to frame it any other way, it's very much an anti-war story where by the end of it, the people that are involved don't really want to be in the war anymore. And it's just a very interesting story about, Shiro and the entire gang. So you get to know this, the 8th MS team is this 5 or 6 different people that are in this team, of the squadron, I guess you could call it, and their operations that they go through, and they all get some backstory. They all, have their own quirks and their own personalities. But really, at the end of the day, it's very much war sucks, anti-war story for sure. As I said, this one comes out in 1996, so it's a little newer. It definitely looks newer. Both this one and The War in the Pocket both had great theme songs. Everything in here looks great, honestly. There's some really good action scenes. But yeah, I mean, I'm still really enjoying Gundam, and I'm told now that the next Gundam I need to watch is unfortunately a long one, and that is Zeta Gundam.
No.
Zeta Gundam is the next one. And
how long is that?
That is 50 episodes. So
okay,
I'm being told that that's the next one I need to be watching, and I'm fine with all that. And Zeta Gundam is pushing it way back to 1985 again. And as you can see, so I don't know when that war starts, year 0079 or 78 something. So I've now seen, I've been in the late 70s, 0080, and now Zeta is at 0087. So it's not that far forward in the story. And so that's going to be next on the slate. And you'll note that almost all these Gundam shows have about an 8 on my anime list. They're all pretty good, generally speaking. These are fucking classics. So that's next up. Going to take me a little longer to get through Zeta Gundam, because it's just, it would help if it's dubbed, honestly. It probably is. Yeah, it's dubbed. So that'll make it a little easier. So Yeah. So I recommend this one as well. It's 12 episodes. So if you're a fan of Gundam, you may want to, and you haven't watched 8th MS Team, pretty good stuff. Back to you, Caroline.
At that time, I was researching some Wi-Fi boosters, trying to figure out what to do about my situation.
I researched the Guinness Book. They make money through publicity, which is like they must make like no
we
money.
said, the brand.
They must make shit for money. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh yeah, Guinness Book of World Records. What a failure! Failure.
Well, maybe not a failure, but I can't imagine they're making very much money. I'm gonna look that up too. What do you got next, Caroline?
All right. One show that I literally just finished, Dr. Elise, that came out, was it last? Yeah, this previous season. And I remember when I first looked at it, I said, this is Seventh Loop, which is out in the same season. I was initially way more interested in Seventh Loop than Dr. Elise. But from what I have seen of Seventh Loop, because I haven't finished it yet, because we're going to be doing our review for that eventually, I will say, I think this couple in Dr. Elise is a stronger couple. And now that's obviously not completely a valid opinion, because again, I have not finished Seventh Loop, but they definitely had way more promising romantic potential from the point of Seventh Loop, like that many episodes in, as Dr. Elise did. Because here's the thing, so the story, Dr. Elise, girl in a fantasy world dies. She gets transported to the real world where she decides, you know what, I was such a bitch in my last life. And she really was. She killed people. Well, actually, no, she didn't kill people, but her selfish decisions got people killed. And so she goes and she decides, I'm going to be a doctor in this life. I'm going to save people. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make up for my mistakes. So she does that, and then she dies in that life, in the real world. So she goes back to the fantasy world to continue living the life that she did, but with the knowledge of being a doctor. And she decides, you know what? I'm going to not become the empress of this country. I'm not going to marry the crown prince like I did in my first life. I'm going to be a doctor in this world too. But the king is like, oh, no, I really want you to be my son's wife. So he does this wager with her. If she can become a doctor in this set amount of time, then she doesn't have to fulfill her role as empress. But if she can't, she's going to marry the son happily ever after. But maybe not. Anyway, so the relationship grows in this show by the crown prince going in disguise and then seeing her working at the local hospital. And through circumstances, he ends up helping her out. She doesn't know it's him. He knows it's her. And then they kind of form this budding relationship where she doesn't realize who he is, but he is able to see reasons that he really would like to be with her anyway. And it's really cute how they did that. And surprisingly, it does seem medically sound, the things they talk about in this show. Like, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I would say it's comparable to things like Grey's Anatomy and other doctor shows where it certainly sounds like they're doctoring. Maybe not completely correct, but from what I've been hearing, they're actually putting in the effort to doctor in this show. There's a lot of situations like that. And other things like Grey's Anatomy, so many medical emergencies happen around this girl. You cannot imagine the immense amount of regular everyday life. She ends up in a tragic medical situation where she needs to save somebody's life. It just happens all the time. But that's besides the point. It's not like an amazing show. And despite the name Dr. Elise, the lady with the lamp, no lamp appears in the first season. Apparently, it will come later. I also have heard that the manhwa that it's adapted from, the anime is a bit different from it. Like the story got changed a bit, things were left out, and I've heard the manhwa was much better. Either way, it was a solid show for me. I enjoyed it. Not my favorite, but I think it's worth a shot if you like Seventh Loop. And the reason why Ray Liana left or went to the Duke's Mansion or whatever the name is, that show is too long. I can't remember exactly, but it's certainly a decent choice for people of fans of that genre. And if you like medical shows.
You got
We're
time.
watching over other stuff from that season.
Oh yeah, I have another thing from the season on this list. We'll see if we get to it. I think I might have one or two more shows that I have not finished, or I could be wrong. I have to check back again.
Mason, I think we got time for one more.
Okay, I'll be.
Maybe
Let's
two more.
see. What am I due for?
We'll
Something negative or good? What do you want to hear?
Good.
Good or bad?
Everybody wants a
Good?
good. Yep, good.
I finished season 5, the final season of Aggretsuko. This is the 10 episode series that comes out every so often on Netflix about the little cute red panda who goes to her daily office job, and when life gets her down and she gets mad, she sings death metal karaoke and hijinks ensue. And this came out a while ago and became, I think, a bit of a popular item. It's kind of a unique concept, and it was really well executed, with the first 2 seasons of Aggretsuko being, I think, really beloved and really hitting home for a lot of people on the woes of societal white collar office job and just life getting millennials down. And I think it really struck a chord with a lot of people, and I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. And with seasons 3 and 4, they kind of just started losing me. They kind of felt like they were almost written as a sort of fan fiction, where the things that people got into were so obtuse and weird and just lost that touch of reality that it had so well cultivated in the first couple seasons. And I kind of gave up on the show. I was like, this is not hitting the mark anymore. I'm not really enjoying it. And I saw that season 5 came out, and I didn't really care, but I did see that it was the final season. And I was like, I've slogged through the last 2 seasons. I might as well see if this last one is hitting anywhere close to where it used to, or I'm just going to drop it. And while not amazing, certainly rushed at moments, I thought the season 5 kind of finale of Aggressive Retsuko, I think is the other title, was actually pretty good. It was a bit of a return to form. Had, not going to spoil anything, but it really kind of returned to the core human elements of the struggle of the main character and her, posse that I think connected with me so well. And I would say if you gave up on Aggretsuko, season 5 is worth it to, get the conclusion, get that catharsis. And it wasn't as bad as the last couple seasons. So I enjoyed it. I don't know if I enjoyed it just because the last 2 seasons were so bad that I was like surprised, or if it's actually good. I don't know about that. But it was, I'm glad it's over. And it wasn't a bad ending at all. So there you go.
All right. Cool.
Haida based. Haida's our boy. He's so precious. Anyway, what do you got?
I'm going to go a little longer because I don't think the review of MF Ghost will be that long. So I will talk about one of the Ghibli shows that I watched while I was in Japan. I'm going to talk about Chuzumo, or A Sumo Wrestler's Tale, spelled like
That's
T-A.
the one I haven't seen, so I'm more interested in your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so it's only 13 minutes long. Unfortunately for listeners, you probably won't be able to find it anywhere. Ghibli is pretty strict about like no phones in the theater. If you manage to film it, shame on you. Wherever you watch it, if you find it online, you probably stole it from the Ghibli Museum. But this is basically about an old man and an old woman who live on a mountain. And one night they find a bunch of mice that are kind of like leaving their house to go somewhere. And so they follow them. The old man does. And he finds the mice playing sumo wrestling with some other mice in the middle of the woods. They have like this little arena set up, and it's complete with like spectating mice, and they throw rice on the arena to purify it and all this. They do the whole thing, right? Unfortunately, the mice that came from his house are too scrawny to compete with these fat, like, powerful like white mice that live that are like from someplace else, and they all get like their butts kicked. And so what he does is he goes back and he talks to his wife, and the old man and the old woman come together, and they start making a bunch of food. So they start making like rice balls with fish heads in them, and they make mochi, and they cover them in like soybean, some tasty like teriyaki or something. So they got these like mochi popsicles and these rice balls. And this is done like 95% without dialogue. Like, you don't need to understand the opening like couple sentences to get what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why this is such a great little property, because it's so well told that it doesn't even need words to be told. You just understand what's happening. Because Miyazaki's a fucking genius. And this came out in 2010. So, and then he fattens his mice up and send them back to compete again with the fatter mice. And then the old man and the old woman kind of sit there and watch. And I'll just say, without spoiling the outcome, it's a lot closer than it was the first time. And it's very cute watching the old man and the old woman who have been like just living alone, farming on this mountain. They're getting so excited about like watching the mice, and it's really cute. And it could be a full length movie easily if they expanded it a little bit. But it's just a stellar little Ghibli short, one of my favorites. I've seen maybe 4 of these now, maybe 5. I've seen the one with the whale, the egg. I've seen May and the kitten bus. I've seen this one. And
have you seen Boro, the pooping caterpillar?
I'm not really sure. Maybe.
Oh my goodness, you would never forget that if you saw it. So probably not.
Probably not then. So
much feces.
But this is just really cute. I mean, the mice are so adorable.
Boy. Sounds great.
Yeah. I mean, this is only 2,000 people this only has 400 reviews on my anime list. So literally like not many people have seen this. So if you do get a chance to go to Japan, I hope this is the one in the Ghibli Museum for you.
Is this your favorite of all the shorts?
It might be. It's certainly really cute. So, I mean, the May and the Kitten Bus is better produced. It has better animation. It looks better. You can tell they kind of like, it looks more like a full Ghibli film for like the 10 minutes or whatever. Whereas this is a little like less sharp, but it's still Ghibli and still retains all of the characteristics of the Ghibli movies, right down to how good the food looks. But yeah, so it could be my favorite at this point. I would say, yeah, maybe. Caroline, you're up again.
Is this the last one?
This is the last one. The last.
Okay.
Saigo.
I'll talk about the other show that just finished up from this season that I've been watching, The Foolish Angel Dances with the Devil. So I was not entirely certain if I was going to continue the show after I failed it for impressions, but it did pick up a couple episodes after its just really not great first episode. So I was a little bit hopeful and decided, you know what? Let's just go with it. And I will say, first episode was definitely the worst episode. It had its highs. It did peter a little bit here and there. I would not say it was, like, oh my God, you had to watch this show. It was more like, that was nice. It had its moments. Its comedy was definitely interesting, a little more interesting than the, typical anime comedy. It had a little bit of creativity to it as well. So
you're saying it turned around. How many episodes in did your opinion start to be like, okay, like...
Even by the second episode, I could see it being better than the first.
Gotcha. So it's not like, oh, you have to just get through the first 4 episodes of terrible fan service and this before it's okay. Like it pretty quickly reversed course.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And by the midpoint, you met a few more characters that I enjoyed being there, and it made it a little bit better. And I gotta say, the angel was not as, as bad seeming at the beginning, which of course that's the case. And it's not really a romance because, you know, they haven't, it's that rom-com curse. It's not a full-on relationship, but they are pretty cute together. And I still don't quite get the title of the show because, if anything, the foolish one is the devil, not the angel. So that never completely made sense by the end. But it was a decent show. It was an okay one. If you were really turned off by the first episode and have any whatsoever remaining interest in the show, maybe try out the second episode. But even so, it was an okay show from the season, I would say.
All right.
That's basically it.
This is the last
Yay,
one, Mason.
mediocrity. Oh, I guess you're getting the bad one.
Yeah, get the bad one now. They asked for it anyway on the Discord, so you may as well.
Oh, they know what they want.
They just want us to shit on stuff.
I want to talk about Studio Actus. And if you don't know, I've never seen another anime studio commit to what these folks do. So back in the day, they made a little meme anime. It's not really a meme, but it's very fun to meme on. Girls und Panzer, which is a bunch of these adorable little moe girls driving these highly detailed tactical tanks in inter-school warfare games. Like that's their after-school sports club, and it's funny. It's funny to think about. They drift in these tanks, they shoot at each other, and it's both adorable and silly. I mean,
I thought they were actual war. It's not. It's
no,
an after
they're
school
not
club.
an actual war.
Seriously?
It's like a sports club. This is their sport. They just fire ballistics at each other.
I had no idea.
And it's not that great of a show, but it's interesting for what it does. And these folks, these mad lads, were like, "Hey, let's commit to making 6 feature-length movies about this." They just signed up to do 6. And honestly, the movies a bit better than the show. They're actually kind of enjoyable. This same studio helped Studio 3 Hertz make a little show called Princess Principal, which is another similar show where you have a bunch of these cute little moe girls get engaged with spy espionage, grand, scheming and ninjas and all this tomfoolery. And that show is actually pretty good. I actually like it more than Girls in Panzer.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, it's, the dub voice acting we can get into. It's a little goofy at times, but it's got its charms.
What,
and they also...
Princess Principal?
Yeah, for Princess Principal.
They got the English accents going.
It's so silly to me, but it's the same people. So guess what they did? They also signed up to make 6 Princess Principal full-length movies. And 3 of them are out right now. And I was like, you know what? Let me give them a shot. And I watched the first 2 episodes of Princess Principal Crown Handler. It's kind of the name of the film series is Crown Handler. And they were not good. They were not good at all.
Sucks.
Similar to kind of how Great Pretender Res Liuto just dropped so much of what made the original good. These Princess Principal movies, oh my goodness. I was originally like, oh, I'll wait till all 6 are out and watch them as like one big grand epic. I can't do it. I have to stop. They missed the mark so far. It's just so dragged on and so unengaging and following the same trappings of the main show, but just worse. I don't know if you've given these a shot, Caroline, because I know you liked the original show. I can't recommend it.
I've been thinking about watching movies, but if it's that bad, then I think I'll keep my ignorance.
Maybe it was just it's been so long that I've forgotten some of the more intricate plot details, but I don't know. I was let down hard. So I'm sorry, Princess Principal season 1 still fun, still enjoyable, but I can't in good conscience say check out the Crown Handler movies. So here you go. 2 decent sequels, 2 not so good sequels.
2 poopies.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry. That's my thing. Last little thing. Happy birthday to Captain Avatar in the chat.
Oh, happy birthday.
Long-time listener.
Happy
always
birthday.
Supporting us on Twitch. And just wanted if you're giving a shout out for the Gundam people, I wanted to give them a shout out. So that's what we've been watching.
All right, Caroline, get us to this news break.
All right, the in-show weekly trivia question. In the show MF Ghost, How many members are in the group MFG Angels? And we will give the answer after the news break.
Hey, Anime Addicts, Mitsugi is here, and I'm bringing you your anime news break, starting off with Bunny Girl Senpai. The official Twitter account of Dengeki Bunko announced on Friday that the Hajime Kamoshida Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai is going to end its 10-year run with the 15th volume of the light novel. So for those of you that are fans of Bunny Girl Senpai, it's been a good run, but hey, 15 volumes is quite a lot. The light novel series will enter its final arc with the 14th volume, and it will be released on the 9th of August. So if you're a fan of Bunny Girl Senpai, the light novel's coming to an end, but that means you could be getting more anime on the way. Next up in the news, more light novels. Teogonia is getting a TV adaptation. The Hakuhodo DY Music and Pictures account gave this announcement. It looks like Tani Mai began writing this action fantasy novel in the Shosetsuka ni Nato website in August of 2017, so quite a while ago. It looks like there's 11 volumes in print as of the 5th of April, and if you're a big fan of Teogonia, you're going to be able to get even more content here, probably because it's going to be getting an anime, which means that, well, every light novel and manga artist dream is coming true. Next up, video game news, as I was just in Japan and saw endless amounts of advertisements for Princess Peach Showtime on the trains in Japan. Looks like this is the top game of the week by coming at you from Nintendo in Japan, followed by Rise of the Ronin, Winning Post 10 from Koei Tecmo, Mario Kart, Dragon Dogma. Trying to find Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, clear down at number 13. Only selling 4.8 thousand copies, so not exactly a strong showing, getting dominated by Princess Peach. Next up in the news, and lastly, the pizza chain, Japanese pizza chain is releasing a gold leaf pizza for nearly, well, nowadays, we'll just say $266. It looks like they've been doing lots of weird stuff with pizza all through Japan's history, but now there's a store of this chain up in Gifu, Aichi, and Mie in Shizuoka prefectures, and they're going to be selling what used to be an April Fool's Day joke of a gold leaf pizza now comes true as the most luxurious and gorgeous pizza ever. The Super Golden Combo is now available, so if you want to spend for $266, you can get a pizza filled with gold leaf, which, why? I have no idea why, but if you want to check this out, I'm sure it's not hard to find online. I just don't think it would taste very good. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break, and now time to get back to the podcast. So, you're at the grocery store. Options at the sushi counter were a little thin. Spicy tuna rolls will have to do. But you know what else is a little thin? Your patience. You were listening to your favorite podcasts, but now all you're listening to is this little robot lady yap at you.
Place your item in the bagging area.
If only you had the AAA podcast's extra content, you wouldn't have even heard her talking to you over the sound of our hobby addicts, our hentai episodes, and our after parties. But now you're about to get arrested for assaulting Wally over here. Goddamn robot bitch. Little Billy's sitting at home about to go hungry while Mommy and Daddy are becoming somebody's new favorite down at the Slammer. Don't let little Billy go hungry. Head over to aapodcast.com/join our Patreon today and support the podcast. Again, that's aapodcast.com/join or Patreon.
Place your item in the bagging area.
Yeah, I'll put you in a bag.
And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
So my next one is Island, which was not originally one of my top 5. It just kind of came into my lap because
I'm excited to hear about this.
Because like the way the pics fell out. One of the comments on my anime list I think says this best. It is from a user, LightKita13, and he or she says, This island is about an island. The main character, Island, travels back in time to an island. He meets an island girl on the island named Island who sings about the island.
Yes.
On the island, he sexually islands another island girl named Island.
That's fantastic.
This island is about an island. The scenery features an island depiction of an island. The voice actors sound like islands and have islanders living on the island. This island is about an islander who needs islanders who go through Icelandic
I'm gonna choke.
problems on an island in the middle of an island. Everything about this island is so island. This island is about an island.
Sounds like a
And
Steam review.
I am failing the shit out of the show.
Out of 5, how many islands are you gonna give it?
I'm gonna give it an island within the island, in which making it not really an island at all.
Classic. Welcome back to the podcast. When we left you,
My
we had a
favorite.
trivia question. And that question is, in the show MF Ghost, how many members are in the group MFG Angels? The answer is 8. 8 angels. It's a lot of booty.
A lot of booty. Also,
Right.
you can have an island within an island, and it's still an island. In case you were curious.
Could have like a lake in the island, and then have like a little island in that lake, maybe.
Oh my goodness.
Islandception. That's right.
I love it.
Time for mailbags.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime. Anime. Anime.
Mailbag.
This mailbag comes to us from the person who wrote it, where I scrolled down and didn't see it. It's Bomb Q Dog. And if you want to be cool like Bomb Q Dog, you head over to AAApodcast.com, click on the mailbag button, and submit your question, and we read it. And they write, "Hello, Addicts." I have
Hello.
to do the accent. They didn't put the H there. I have to say hello. Spring is here, kind of, and depending on where you live, an opportunity for more outdoor activities. This makes me think of sports, and of course, sports anime. Can you think of a certain sport you would like to see portrayed in anime form that you haven't seen yet? Caroline, what should anime sport?
Well, I had trouble thinking of one that I really want to see in particular that I haven't seen before. But I'm going to go big here and say we should have an Olympics anime so we can get all the sports. It could be about like a Japanese team going into the Olympics and we get interpersonal drama. It would be a lot of characters. So obviously a small portion of the Olympic team, but I think it would be pretty cool.
Olympics. Nice. I don't think we've had that. Mitsugi, what should anime sport?
I know. Quite a visionary.
Well, I'll start with golf and hockey since they tried but obviously failed, in my opinion.
Oh,
So-
you're not counting the accurately. I can't even think of the words. I'm speechless.
We'll
of
see.
Birdie Wing.
OE Tone Bowl's coming out, so we'll see if that's a little more like actual golf or if it's just about like, I don't know, insane melodrama. A couple others. I mean, let's be honest, they didn't give hockey a chance. Like, I don't know what the fuck that was, but that wasn't hockey. So, yeah.
What
so-
was it? Pride of Orange or something?
Yeah, 50% idle girls dancing on the ice at halftime or some shit. Terrible. So, yeah, exactly. As Gohan Trunks fan on the chat says, don't talk about that anime. It's fucking terrible. Yeah, it's an idol show. It's like not even hockey. I want goon. I want people's teeth flying out. Fucking fix it. Billiards, I'd like. I love shooting pool. It would have to be done well, and because it could be boring. So, I don't know. If they could find a way to do it and make it engaging, that would be good. And also, piggybacking on Caroline a little bit here, I always find snowboard half pipe to be interesting. So I'd like to see some half pipe snowboarding. They have like snowboarding's big in Japan, so I mean there's a following there. I don't know. They've even had the Olympics in Japan in the winter because they do have some pretty great skiing and snowboarding on the other side of that mountain range down the middle of the country. So I think they could figure it out, but primarily here, if I had to pick one, it would be hockey. Figure it out, get it right. Mason, what do you think?
I think we could definitely use hockey, especially with Dogs Red finally coming back. But for me, sports, I would like to see number one, Ultimate Frisbee. I think that would loan itself really well to a sports show, and just it's so fun, it's so dynamic, and it's easy to follow the rules. So it's not like you have to spend 18 episodes explaining everything. Chook ball, just because it's really funny, and more people need to learn about the sport. And I like when anime highlight, sports that people might not have heard of before, and that's pretty fun. And finally, I've said this before, but my dream anime, if I had to like make an anime, would be a sports anime about Mesoamerican ball game, which is just a blanket statement of this massively popular sport from eons ago that no one knows the rules of today. They're just these like leftover stone ruins of the courts they used to play on, and they've like hypothesized on how it works. It's kind of like a racquetball situation, except you have to put it through a sideways hoop, and the ball weighs like 9 pounds, and you can only use your body. And it was like very barbaric and brutal and cool. It's like tied in with, they think, how like human sacrifices, like the winners of games would kind of like determine. It was wild, and I want someone to just take that loose concept of a sport that used to exist and make it crazy. And I think that'd be so much fun. So they're my picks, and I'd be happy with all of them. But yeah, billiards could be cool. I mean, I know Death Billiards obviously did it for an episode, the progenitor to Death Parade. So
Right.
You have that. And yeah, I'm actually surprised now that you said it that there isn't more snowboarding in anime.
It doesn't have to
So-
be. It doesn't have to be
Ouch.
death though.
Dog sled racing.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I think billiards could be cool because you could also frame it as, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have picked up a pool cue and have played, but don't really know like tips and fundamentals of it, and you could use that as an avenue to make people better. So I'm down. I suck at pool, so I'd love to learn.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of pool. I think we've talked about when I move, I'm going to be fully remote, and so I really depend on being in the office to have a social sort of outlet, because I am pretty social in the office, and now if I'm just going to be at home, I'm going to have to find ways to have a social life where I'm going. And I think maybe joining like a pool league I'm going to get my ass handed to me, but might be a good way to do that. So we'll see. But okay, well, you guys know what time it is.
My life is getting cool, my heart is banging loud, 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 that's gonna break out. You make me
This might be the best thing about this anime.
baby, I'm just
Calling you. All right, so we're going to do the review of MF Ghost, which came out in the fall of 2023. I passed this on episode 699, and it was never not going to pass, probably because I was so excited about this anime, because it is the spiritual successor to Initial D. Basically, Kanata Livingston, as he's referred to in the show, he comes from England, from a racing school that's famous, and he is, I guess his teacher is Takumi Fujiwara, who is, in fact, the main character of Initial D. And Takumi is referenced a lot in this anime, but he doesn't actually show up at any point in this season. But Kanata shows up and joins this MFG racing league. There's also some like other reasons why he's there, like to look for his father and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that later. But so basically, the bulk of this show is Kanata breaking into the scene of MFG, kind of shocking Japan with his skills, quickly rising to the top or towards the top. Really, I mean, faster than probably anybody else, and a lot of downhill racing. And so, directed by Toshihito Naka of Felix Film, and of course, this is done by a manga. And make no mistake, the Initial D manga is pretty big. I mean, it's famous. It's got a lot of copies sold. This is comparable to it's probably like 70 million copies. I mean, it's up there with like something like Yu Yu Hakusho probably. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Initial D is pretty big. So now going in, you guys have some pretty funny comments here. I'll start with Caroline. What did you expect coming into this anime? Did you let's hear it.
Well, one thing I could expect, because I have no initial D experience, is vroom vroom. That is all. There are cars, they go fast. I have no other frame of reference for what initial D or MF Ghost is about except for that. So
No
went in
initial
with that.
expectations.
No initial expectations.
All right. Mason, how about you?
Yeah, I was hoping for more initial D adjacent zoomies. I want cars that go zoom, and I want that music that just blitzes straight into the core of your brain, that generates hype and glitches out those synapses to the max, and you just can't help but go a little bit faster, and it's just, oh.
Make
And it's
Mason
just-
fall in love. He's ready, baby.
Exactly. I'm ready to be running in the 90s.
Oh, running in the 90s. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So good.
I love the song. There's a song in Initial D called Gas, Gas, Gas. You know, like the gas pedal, but it sounds like he's saying ass, ass, ass in that song. It fucking cracks me up every time. For me, I expected Initial D, basically. I don't know. That's what I thought at the beginning of this. I didn't expect literally Initial D, but I expected it to be a comparable facsimile. So, but we'll see. So, we're going to do this in the
Good
same
word
order.
usage.
Caroline, would you recommend MF Ghost?
Oh. Yes, I now remember it's my turn. Not really. Because overall, it was okay. Like, it certainly was not it didn't really hit the feeling of, oh my god, I can't believe we have to watch this. But it got kind of close. I noticed a lot more of what it was lacking than what it had to offer in better terms. Just right off the bat, the characters, ugly. Ugly.
Yes.
And
you're
then
right.
somebody mentioned to me that they hardly ever blink. And from that point forward, that's all I could focus on. Is the fact that they are just
correct?
staring at me with their... I mean, they do blink here and there, but it's certainly not as much as they probably should. And it just feels like they're staring at me, especially when Kanata is driving. He has the stare because he's so focused, but it's
So
more
focused.
creepy than anything else. And it's only accentuated by the fact that they have like SpongeBob eyelashes. It's just, it's so weird. And on top of being ugly and staring all the time, the characters are really one note. I did not find many interesting things about them. And so much of the writing involves like those characters and random observers. They keep on going to the random people watching this race, always in the same place, always on the steps, always in the office. It's always in the same place. And they always say things like, whoa, I'm getting goosebumps. And how can he drive like that? And exposition and English. That is what the dialogue comprises of most of the time. And when it doesn't, it's cringy and unnatural. Yeah. If it's not about racing, it's cringy. The pacing, not great. 5 episodes were devoted to the race, to the one race in this show. And if it's going to be one race, then sure, devote the time to it. But really, it could have been shortened to 3 if they had just incrementally introduced some of these other drivers. Because I feel like you can really only care about a small portion of these recently introduced characters at a time. It should have been Kanata, Kanata, and that his senpai, Aoba, or whatever his name is, the twins, and maybe one more. But they went to all of them. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. What's his name? Don't care. Is that the other guy or the same guy? I don't know. If they just focused on some and not the others, just for this race, I think it would have felt a little cleaner and more interesting. But yeah, they were just spending a lot of time on characters I don't care about yet. And then the worst part, the season ends in the middle of a time trial. Not the end of a time trial run, in the middle of a time trial, which would have been a weird time to end any episode. But this was also the season finale. It does not... Yeah, that was not great. And now that I've harped on it the entire time, I will say it wasn't terrible. It really wasn't terrible, but it really wasn't worth a lot of my time. The end.
Mason, how about you?
So I'll go in reverse of Caroline and say, like its predecessors, Initial D, these episodes go by really quickly. There's something just inherently forward progressing. Like, this show is just a great sense of momentum, and it's just easy to be like, I guess I'll watch another one. I guess I'll watch another one. Not as good, obviously, as its original, but it's definitely still scratches that similar itch. This show is essentially a triple dose of fan service. I don't think I've seen a more fan servicey show in my life. And I say that because this show is fan service for gearheads, people who like cars. This show has all of them, from Lambos to Romeos to Nissans to Mercedes to Audis to Ferraris. This show is just like, check out this sports car, check out this fancy car, check out this. Look at this engine, look at this, how many liters it can pump out, look at its suspension, and they just throw all that at you and hope you love it. This show is a fan service for Initial D fans, where they tease different characters or drop someone's name or be like, oh, remember Racing Dream? Remember this guy? Remember this guy? And you're like, yeah, I remember those people. I love that show. I must love this show too. And finally, it's fan service and traditional ho-hum diegetic crotch shots of high schoolers. And you're just like, yeah. And yeah, like Caroline said, people look the way they do in the show. If you've seen Initial D, you're used to it. If you've seen how the manga looks, you're used to it. But it's not pretty. It doesn't move well. If you are looking for anything like decent writing, realistic writing, any sort of writing in the show, you're going to be missing out because there isn't much here. Go elsewhere. This is a show for racing and music. And while it doesn't always deliver that in exciting ways, it's not the worst show. But no, I would not recommend this. If you have not seen Initial D, please start with that before going here. Not that it's essential, but it's just a better, more engaging experience. And I think there are some elements of MF Ghost that could be compelling when it actually, finishes the season. And honestly, that ending doesn't even disappoint me because we know what the next 10 episodes are going to look like. It's going to be more racing. And I know exactly how it's going to look and how it's going to sound and how it's going to feel. So I feel like I'm not missing out on anything by just not watching it. So it's not great. It's not fine. We're not going to have a lot to say, which makes it just kind of a whatever show to me. What do you think, Mitz?
Well, it's pretty funny because, look, I didn't watch Overtake, but I have this feeling that Overtake and this MF Ghost suffered from very different problems that when combined would have made a great anime. So here's my guess from Overtake. Overtake, I'm guessing, is a lot of like character drama and not enough racing. If I had to make a bet. Because I saw the first 2 episodes and it was like 90% just talking. Character drama. This anime is mostly racing and not enough story. Like, not enough character drama, not enough about Kanata. Yeah, see, so I'm being validated on Twitch. I mean, I pretty much got it, like, So Overtake, people gave that a mediocre score online because they wanted to watch Formula 1, and what did they get was like the crybaby fest about the photographer. I'm just going to make a wild guess. I'll like take it a step further. This anime gets a mediocre score because all it does is fucking have racing, and by the way, not particularly interesting racing either compared to Initial D, and literally nothing else. No romance between the girl and the guy, nothing on Kanata, nothing on the competitors, nothing. So there's really nothing there to build up the hype of the show. So the anime just doesn't do much. I mean, it's nice to see the Initial D references, and the racing itself is always a welcome thing, but it just lacks the punch and excitement of the original Initial D. In Initial D, it starts off with Takumi, who's like this kid who's like a genius at racing, but no one knows who he is yet because he doesn't care about racing. And then they're doing all this illegal downhill racing crap where a lot of these racers crash and they do crazy like events like duct tape your hand to the steering wheel at night, which is crazy, and all this stuff that makes it super like it factor. It sucked Pancake in immediately, and she doesn't give a fuck about cars. She calls expensive cars lawnmowers. They're just loud to her. She doesn't give a fuck. But somehow she likes Initial D enough to watch this anime. So basically that's what this anime suffers from, is that like all this is a bunch of downhill racing, and well, it's not really even necessarily downhill, but it seems that way. It's very much the same model as Initial D. This writer clearly knows how to do this, but he hasn't really made a lot of changes from Initial D. You still have the downhill racing of the kid that no one knows about and everybody's surprised that he's good. You have the friend who lends him the car that's underpowered, and so everybody's like, oh, this car sucks, but he's still good. How is this happening? And then you have the friend who's always like blown away that his car can do this, even though really 99 out of 100 people would never be able to do this. It's just this one guy that could do it. It still has the Eurobeat music. It's a very Initial D. It just lacks the it factor. It doesn't have it anymore. And that's really unfortunate. I think the music was fine. The pacing is just bad. Like, see, in Initial D, they would have like a 3-episode race, maybe 2 episodes, and then they'd have like 2 or 3 episodes of not racing, where they would like have some comedy and, oh, this girl likes, Takumi and he doesn't like her back or whatever, and then they'd have another race, and then they'd have 3 episodes of building up the competitors in the next race to make you think, ooh, maybe Takumi can't win. Like, how could he win? This car is 10 times the horsepower or whatever. And then they'd have the race. But this anime just never did that. It was just pretty happy having like just this race take like 5 straight episodes, and and nothing interesting happens in the races. There's no, oh, Takumi's going to turn his lights off and pass this dude in the dark because it's the only way to get around him. There's no dipping your wheel into the gutter. There's none of that shit happens. It's just very by the book, like professional racing. And if you want my opinion, that's boring. That's why I don't watch NASCAR. I don't watch Formula One, because to me, racing is boring, and Initial D was racing, but it had edge to it. So,
Like
all in
Birdie
all,
Wing.
it's like Birdie Wing. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody except diehard Initial D fans, honestly. And that's really disappointing, to be honest. We got through it. It's quick to watch. It's easy to watch, but it doesn't do much. Now, there aren't a lot of racing shows out there. So if you're like just thirsty for racing, I guess so, because there's probably only, like, count them on one hand, anime that are not just an OVA that actually feature auto racing. Not very common in anime, but really Initial D is the best there is for that, and there's probably never going to be anything better. So a little bit of and the character models are ugly. This guy still can't draw. He still can't draw. Everybody in this anime has like a square face. I didn't notice that they
Everybody
didn't
has
blink.
the same face.
Yeah, they all look like the same. So like I don't know, and it's really weird because like they're like really trying to sex up these chicks that are like these racing girls, but then they have like these weird like square heads. I'm like,
these girls are supposed to be hot.
They're
it's
not
a
hot.
show where it has to tell you how pretty or handsome the characters are, because visually you wouldn't really know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't notice they didn't blink, but that's like Gen Alpha, I guess. Like, have you heard of Gen Alpha? Like, they're staring at tablets from the time they're like in the womb, so now they don't blink properly or some shit. I don't know. That's the thing that I keep hearing about.
Probably not in the womb, but anyway.
Well, they get born.
Let's get into our spoilers.
The tablet in the crib. All right.
And there's pretty much not going to be any spoilers in this review.
I'll play the
car
drop
spoilers, perhaps.
But
I'll play the drop anyway.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god!
Yeah, there's no spoilers. The race doesn't even end, so you can't even spoil that. So
I think the big crux of this show, and Mitz kind of alluded to it with, lacking the it factor, but to me the big thing is the transition from these legally frowned upon races of Initial D to the professional motorsports world is kind of awkward. And I think that's where it kind of misses the mark, because, back in Initial D, and that's obviously how a lot of this review is going to go, is comparing them, but the races only took a few episodes because it was just Takumi versus one opponent. You only had to worry about one person, you set the stakes, they do the race, there's only 2 cars, so it doesn't take that long, and it ends. Here, like Caroline said, you have 15, 16 people that they're trying to manage all at once. So it just makes everything feel more drawn out with characters that you haven't met, so you don't care about it. And the transition feels awkward because the show is kind of halfway between professional and street racing, because they have all these cameras and drones and television crews and announcers being like, we have 30 million fans, 30 million people are listening. They're really adamant about 30 million people watching this thing. But then people, the racing folks, the drivers, are coming in just wearing regular clothes. The cars they're driving are like their daily drivers. Like the twins are taking their Alfa Romeos and Ferraris just down to the local pub to grab lunch. Like it's a weird dichotomy of
tiny dick energy.
And obviously the show is trying to show like, hey, this MFG corporation is still kind of building itself up. It itself is not, fully realized and complete, but it's in this weird pseudo space of being authentic and real, but also not confident and sure of what it is. And I think the biggest thing is there's no realism in this show. If you know cars, there's no way that this guy's 200 horsepower Toyota is keeping up with supercars.
Yeah, probably not. In Initial D, it made sense because the downhill was so steep. Like you can only go so fast.
Yeah, it's like a cyclist keeping up with the motorcycle. When you have the downhill Initial D, and you have, like Mitsugi mentioned, off the wall ways of winning by turning your lights off, riding the curb, like that kind of stuff works. When this is just he memorized the course.
And he
can calculate
knows how to
splits.
drift.
That's it. That's like it just what did you guys think of the racing itself?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty boring. I mean, I again never saw Initial D, but from what you guys are saying, I would find that way more entertaining, especially if it's just two drivers. They have that they have a focus on the tension between them and some gimmicks that make it interesting every time. But this one, it's just vroom vroom without
exactly. It's
oomph,
too conventional. It's too conventional. And Mason's right. Like, the minute this car hits a flat area or goes uphill, he's getting smoked by these other fucking cars. In Initial D, if you're taking hairpin turns all the time, you can only go like 50 miles an hour max. Like any car can go that fast, and the momentum of going downhill will pull your car to really any speed if you let it. But like this is not the case, and I didn't think the racing in this was that
kind of
interesting.
allude to it, but it's just so impractical when you really run the numbers, and you're like, this guy has half the power of his competitors.
The one part that was interesting was when they are in the mist and they call it the death zone because it's so hard. But because he has such a good memory, he knows exactly how the course goes, and he is able to just go as fast as he can, and then also them counting down to how close he is to a car, so he is able to, he's able to know where they are and go around them. That part was interesting. What made me just bang my head against the wall was right after that, his guy in the booth says, wait a minute, I'm telling him how many seconds ahead the car up against him is so that he can calculate how far away it is. Yes! Yes, that's what you're doing! Is it really that hard to figure out?
I think it was more he was calculating where that he would end up passing that car, so which turn he would need to... Like, I get that it's a little bit more 4D chess, big IQ move, but it's still pretty... It's not the same. It doesn't hit the same of him being crazy clever and using unique ways to get out of the situation. It's more of just... He's good.
I will say I will give the show a little grace with the realism because as I recall, there are some sections where he gets passed again or can't pass any further because he's no longer going downhill. I think that does happen. Like he loses time or something.
And like he uses the twins to like pull him in a tow in the flats to like help catch up. Like it's there. The show is aware of it, and that's why everyone's like, "Oh, it's a miracle." And I know the point of this podcast is not to nitty grit the intricacies of how horsepower translates to performance, but it's just if you're like, come on, that's a little bit too much of a stretch.
Now, are they talking out of their ass when they do these techno babble things, or is it actually sound what they're saying? Because I have no idea.
I don't have an answer for that. I don't.
I mean, I
Just don't
think
know.
they're accurate. I just don't know. And I am not a professional racer, but I don't know if while I would be accelerating my car, I would think to myself, I can hear my 5.2 liters really revving up now. Like I think I don't know if people are thinking in car specs while they're doing a sport like that. I don't know. I mean, they're all saying accurate things about how their cars are tooled up and kitted up, but that doesn't really wow me as a listener or a viewer, I should say.
Hmm. Going back to like characters, I got really annoyed with a lot of them. Like, I think his name is Ogata, the guy in the booth. He's just constantly crying. Like, Jesus Christ, can you
So touched.
get it together?
But he's discovering,
like,
he's solving the mystery of MF Ghost. He's figuring it out. It was all a big challenge. It was all a ruse, and Kanata is the chosen one.
every time this car goes a little bit more fast than he expected, he just acts as if he saw the birth of his first child. it's
That's
a
how
lot.
they're like that in Initial D too. Sometimes like they're just like.
Really?
Well, not all the characters, but there are some characters that, particularly the ones that aren't doing the racing, like you say, they kind of just like flip out about cars. But I wouldn't say they cry about it. They cry about them, but they're just like exuberant to a level that we can't understand because we aren't like orgasming over an engine. I'm not like that. I just don't get it. There are people that in my life that have been like that, and they're mostly like 17 years old. Like, that's what I always wonder. Like, it seems like in my life, the people that have always been like, oh, I'm going to drag race or I'm going to street race, like they're always in like high schoolers that got their license and they have like their first Mustang and they think they're like hard because they have like a hole cut in their muffler so it's extra loud. But then these guys are like, I always think like these guys are like in their 40s and they're still like this. I'm just like, why don't you go like get married? I don't fucking know.
Speaking of 17-year-olds, let's talk about the guy whose express interest is only in 17-year-old girls.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, that the like German guy was he? Oh no, he never raced, right?
No, he left the first
He
race
did
because
the time trial.
he was taking his 17-year-old girlfriend out on a date, and he's gonna make the most of the next 364 days because he will dump her after she turns 18 because she's no longer a woman in his eyes, and then he will proceed to date another 17-year-old.
It's
17's a little
weird.
Yeah, as with Ren, the female lead, also being in this highly questionable, not questionable,
Provocative.
I guess, provocative nature. I will say, here's my two hills to die on this episode. One, I'm not saying I like how fan service is done in this show with just having a bunch of girls on the track in provocative clothing, but I will say I like how it's diegetically done. Like the show, I don't like when two characters will be talking in the show and the camera angles will just give you an upskirt for no reason. Like, here you go, viewer. This is for you. Like, at least all the zoom in on butts and crotches and wedgies getting done. Like, that was done by a cameraman in the show and acknowledged by the characters in the show as being creepy or weird or, it was all in universe. If you're going to have shots like that, at least be diegetic. Whereas just random fan service, I don't like. So I do like how the fan service was done. I didn't like the fan service. But I thought the only character I liked and moment that I genuinely enjoyed was when Ren's parents, the mom and dad of the angel who's out there prancing around in a bikini, are like making fun of her. They're like styling on her. Like the dad is like quipping about his daughter doing this, and her mom is like, don't make fun of your daughter like that. Like that was genuinely kind of funny and endearing because they are aware and they're full of love, but it was just they spent so much time on these angels and it just distracted from what people came to the show for. And I'm not saying you can't have a more multi-dimensional show, but it really did not add much.
I thought it was strange that the parents were talking like that and not the fact that their teenage daughter is being looted upon on TV. They don't have any problem with a camera guy shoving a camera up her ass.
Well, they knew what the job entailed. She seemed to be.
Well, sure. The fact that they allowed that is crazy.
She took this job, and then she's like, "Wait, I have to wear that? I have to do this? Did you not?"
I want to know,
see this
how did she
before?
get into this job? Because
Exactly.
it's against all of her principles. And why is this job any better than going and working at a restaurant? And how is it that she got this job and has no clue what the job entailed?
Exactly. That's
They
the
pay
biggest
more.
thing.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. But
I don't know.
It
I mean,
doesn't
it depends
break
because it
anything,
doesn't
but-
seem like they are frequently working. So there's that. It's just, and also she's skipping school for this. Crazy. But yeah, and especially considering, and it's, her character really frustrates me because she's a pick-me girl. Like, I don't care about looks. I can't imagine be fawning over a guy just because he's hot, and then 5 seconds later,
I mean, even
come
she
on.
knows she's a bit of a jerk. She like slaps him, and she's like, "How dare you not tell me you're doing this?" And then the rest of the episode, she's like, "Wait, no, I'm just as bad as him." Yeah, and that's it. That's the whole resolution.
the hilarious thing is
Yeah.
that the two anime are so similar, except for the fact that one of them doesn't have the it factor. Kanata is like exactly like Takumi. Like,
Yeah,
he has absolutely no social skills or like emotions whatsoever. They're the same fucking character, which I think is
you know
funny.
how I
like-
know these characters are unrealistic? Have you
Yeah.
guys ever gone to the beach and had a sand fight where you throw sand at each other?
that was
no,
No.
sounds
so-
terrible.
No one has ever done that. They're like, okay, we need a cute little scene where Kanata and Ren are being playful on the beach. What do real people do? They chuck sand in each other's faces. Nope. If you have ever done that, you're not a real person. I'm putting my foot down.
Yeah, having sand in your eyes fucking hurts. It's a terrible
Yeah.
idea.
You don't playfully chuck sand in another person's face. That's
They're tiny rocks, people.
Yeah, and also Ren constantly pressuring Kanata into a photo. That's not cute. That's really rude.
All in all, like this anime just didn't have what I wanted. Maybe it will eventually, but you know, it didn't even have the relationship stuff. Like in Initial D, Takumi had a girl that was interested in him, and he liked her, but he found out that she was a Joshi Kosei girl, and she was like,
What does that mean?
it means that a much, much older guy was paying her money to do stuff. And he
Oh.
basically told her to go fuck herself. And then she quit and like got a real job and like changed the way she was and tried to like get him back, and he still said go fuck yourself. And then there were some other arcs like where, you know, a guy gets stuck in traffic. He's being weird about this girl that he likes, and she likes him, and she's waiting for him at this place, and he gets stuck in traffic, and she waits and waits, but he can't get there in time, and then she's gone. And like there's some like nice relationship arcs in Initial D, and this show just doesn't seem to care about any of the characters, which makes it hard to root for anybody. So I'm just going to score it because I don't know what else to say. This show was very disappointing. I don't think it's horrendous. Like it wasn't like offensive to my eyes. It didn't like make me sad like to watch, other than the fact that it wasn't as good as Initial D by any stretch. I'm going to give it the score I gave it on my anime list. I just don't think anybody other than extreme racing fans can really enjoy this. I just don't think, not even the Initial D fans will probably like this, because I am one of those, and here I am. And I think Pancake pretty much mirrors my sentiments. So this is going to get a very generous 3 liters out of 5. 3 liter engines out of 5. I can't do more than that. It's just, it doesn't suck ass. It's just a letdown.
I'll go next. Because I've ranted so much about it, I will say the music bops, and I thought the setting was pretty. Those were my pros in our review. But yeah, it's just, it wasn't a bad show. It had a lot of cons, and it was not exactly the most interesting show of the season for me. So overall, I will give this show 2.5 race car drivers driving in a cardigan out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they
What the
did the group shot of all the drivers going, and some of them are wearing like actual driving clothes, and maybe someone's wearing like a leather jacket or whatever. And Kanata is wearing a cardigan.
I mean,
He looks like he's going to school.
the twin sister is like just wearing her school uniform.
Okay, and
Like it's
it
so
wasn't
wild.
that noticeable. It wasn't that wild of a look for a race car driver compared to
That's
Mr.
fair.
Librarian going to work.
That's fair. This show is just I hate in reviews being like, well, it doesn't do this as good as this show, or it doesn't do good as this show, but it is so much trying to compare itself and be Initial D with the music, the characters, everything. And so it's kind of hard to separate it. Even the OP of MF Ghost, Jungle Fire, which isn't bad, is so much aping off of Night of Fire from Initial D. Like,
Yeah,
it's
but
so
hey,
much
it has the same
following-
singer too.
Yeah, it's following the playbook in so many ways that it's hard not to be like, well, it's just misses on so many marks. And yeah, it's still watchable. It's still fine. Like 22 minutes of the show zips by and you just watch another one and it's just aimless popcorn. It doesn't fill you up. It doesn't give you any substance, but you're like, okay, it's fine. And I think it has a lot of the same pros and cons as Initial D, but just is a weaker installment. And because it's the weakest installment of anything I've seen from Initial D, I have to give it the weakest score. So considering that, I'm going to also be generous and give it 2 attention flags out of 5.
Jeez. Savage.
And say if you
scored it lower than me.
do want to check this out, just wait till season 2 comes out, because you'll watch the full experience then and you'll see if maybe it does actually start getting more interesting. But for now, MF Ghost can't get more than that.
No,
So
yeah,
averages to a 2.5, which is perfectly
It's
fine.
pretty good.
Not egregiously good, not egregiously bad. It just exists.
Now that
exceptionally
actually
mid.
reminded me. Your score reminded me. I was wondering the entire time, what is an attention flag? Does anybody know?
So go ahead.
Well, my take on it is that they have data on how fast these people have been doing different sections of the course. And my understanding from the show is that if someone is going down and they are exceeding the expectation of the time trial, like they'll say, oh, well, through this section, you should be going this fast. Someone goes way faster than that, then you want to keep an eye on them because they are clearly, racing at a speed that is above the norm. Is that about what you would have said, Mason?
Yeah, they're just surpassing what is expected, and
They're at a high
someone to
percentile.
watch. Yeah, yep.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this show kind of solves the big question in Initial D: is how did all these people watch the races on these dark backstreet roads when they watch the cars take off, and then they don't have cameras? Like, how did they watch how did they watch the race besides walkie-talkies? But here you go. Now
One last comment. I always thought it was funny. Like they're in like some bar with like 14 TVs and all of them are on the race. It's like, don't they have anything else on TV?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, is this
Like,
the
this is-
like?
It's the only thing
I was
happening.
talking to Frigimon about this, and he was saying, like, yeah, I think this is just the only sport in this universe. I'm like,
the
there's
only
no
fucking
way.
TV
that
channel.
this
how
is
else do you get 30
so
million
interesting
fans?
to be the only sport. It's not that interesting, guys. Come on.
Trust me, Japan doesn't have
so
30.
I think,
Japan doesn't have 30 million people watching TV at all. Period. So
yeah, but I guess they're taking into account that it's an international thing and very popular internationally.
maybe, yeah, maybe.
But
Okay,
anywho, I think
We
it's
did
time
it.
we close out the show, right, guys?
I think so.
We did it.
Yeah.
First one back, trio. And
Woot woot.
you can continue the fun on Discord because we have a lot of channels for you to join and friends to make, enemies to make, frenemies to make. It's a good time. And let's see. We are also on Twitter at AAA Podcast. You can also join us on Facebook on TikTok at @the_anime_addicts. And next week, we are reviewing the much anticipated Free-Ren. So let's hope Mitsugi is able to survive it.
Pancake and I will work through it
We will see
slowly.
you again next week.
We'll grind through it
I
slowly
don't know
through
if
the
you can
week.
go that slowly.
Wow.
You kind of have to power through this.
I don't think I'm going to be able to do that.
Just play some Euro beats in the background. You'll be fine.
All right, guys.
That's
Thanks
a
for
great
tuning
idea.
in. After party coming up, and we love you. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.